put this out to folks. Right. Okay, so this summer, all of our middle schoolers, current 6th grade through 8th grade, are invited to join us on the summer mission trip. So the mission trip is actually going to be 6th grade through 12th grade, middle school through high school. So you all are welcome to come and join us for the mission trip this summer. I want to just provide some basic information for you all so you know what to expect on a mission trip, and so you can make a decision on whether you want to participate in this or not. My hope is that you do. Mission trips are a ton of fun and also a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Emma was on last summer's mission trip, so she can tell you.
Like real life experiences and bonding time that you don't got.
Yeah, a lot of real life experiences, lots of bonding time. Yeah, so it's a grand old time, and I think you all would really enjoy it. So here is the plan. The mission trip this summer is June 18th. Let me make sure I get these dates right. All of this is online, of course, on our website. June, yes, the 18th through the 26th. So it's an entire week long. We leave on a Saturday morning, get back on a Sunday afternoon. We are going to Knoxville, Tennessee, which is about 7-8 hour drive from here. So it's far, but not horribly far. It's not a super long trip, but it's long enough. So we have a bit of a journey in there. When we get to Knoxville, we'll be working with an organization called Operation Backyard. This is an organization that I've worked with 2 times. This will be the 3rd time that I've done work with them on mission trips. This will be the 2nd time for Lord of Life. The first one was the Network Tour 2017. We brought our high school students to Knoxville there for a great mission trip. The organization there in Knoxville, what they do is they provide housing upgrades and repairs to people who can't afford them in their community. So it is it can be anything from painting the home to putting on a new deck to building a real wheelchair ramp, maybe for a family that has somebody that is now bound to a wheelchair, and all kinds of stuff in between there. So they do all kinds of work. It's really phenomenal work. And it's a lot of fun. They're really great to work with because they actually provide us with all of the supplies we need and everything. And if it's something like building a deck or a wheelchair ramp, they will supply us with the instructions on how to do that as well. So it's not like we have to come or that we expect any of you to come knowing how to build a deck or a wheelchair ramp or something like that. We learn as we go on the job site. And so that's kind of one of the cool things about a mission trip too, as Emma said, a lot of real life experience as well. So that's Operation Backyard. A lot of times we work, the people that we are serving there might be people that are elderly or they can afford a home, but they haven't been able to afford to keep the home up. Those people can apply, and when we're there, Operation Backyard will kind of share more with us about exactly the processes and everything, so we learn about them. But people can apply for work through them to have groups come out and do this type of thing and to serve there, and they work through grant processes and everything to figure out who and when and how. We don't know and won't know exactly what we're doing until probably right before we go to Knoxville. We might have a decent idea as we get closer, but the way they work is they have tons of groups like ours coming in all summer long, coming and doing work. And so they have their list of projects that they want to get done and need to get done. And, they might think that this group is going to paint this whole house and build a deck, and they do that plus some the week that they're there. And so they get ahead, and then they might have a group that comes in and thinks they're going to paint a whole house, and they don't get the whole thing done that week because it rains or something like that. So then they get behind. So it kind of just depends on where things are at. But as we get closer, we'll have a better idea of exactly the work that we're going to do there in Knoxville. The cool thing is a lot of times, not always, but a lot of the times we get to meet the homeowners as well, and we get to talk with them and hear their stories, which is really unique and fun. There was a trip that I did with Operation Backyard years ago. It was really impactful. We built a wheelchair ramp for this elderly couple who the husband in the couple, just because of age and deterioration and everything, was bound to a wheelchair, and he hadn't been able to get out of his home for, I think it was like 4 or 5 months, because the home wasn't wheelchair accessible. So once he got in the home, there really wasn't a way for him to get out. And so we built a wheelchair ramp for him. And I can tell you, it was just an amazing experience to see him come out of his house for the first time and wheel himself down that wheelchair ramp and be able to get outside, and the smile and tears of joy on his face and his wife's face were just amazing. And our experience as well of just kind of witnessing that and being a part of that was a really, really cool thing. So the work that we do there, whether it's painting a house or building a wheelchair ramp or putting on a deck or anything else, is really impactful stuff for those people. And it becomes really impactful for you as well, knowing that you contributed to somebody's happiness and joy that maybe they didn't have because they just weren't able to do the things that they needed to make that happen. So awesome organization, a lot of really good work. For the way Operation Backyard works is, as far as ages go, is they do have restrictions as far as ages on who can do what. So those of you who are on the younger side, are 6th and 7th graders, we're probably going to have you all doing more of the painting stuff because of restrictions with power tools that they have and insurance and stuff like that. But all the jobs are just as important as any other. And painting is actually a lot of fun. If you haven't painted a house before, it can be a lot of fun, especially the outside of a house, because you don't necessarily have to be as cautious. Like if paint drops on the grass, it's not the end of the world, as opposed to when paint drops on carpet or something like that. So what's that?
The worst part is taping.
Yes, taping is hard, which you don't have to do as much on the outside necessarily. So yeah, so just know that there are, for parents, there are some age restrictions as far as that kind of stuff goes, but there'll be work for all of our students through them. If we have enough middle schoolers, the hope is that if we have enough, all of our middle schoolers will be at a job site together, and our high schoolers will be at another job site, or if there's enough work at a certain job site to have everybody together, great. But they'll have plenty of work for us to be able to separate out and have multiple sites if we need that, if we have enough hands and feet to do the work. So that is the work that we'll be doing. Again, you don't need any skills. We will teach you everything, which is part of the fun of the mission trip, is you come home having learned to do a lot of things. When I started doing mission trips, I had no idea how to do drywall or build things. And my wife and I, because of the stuff we've learned on mission trips, have redone most of our house, mostly ourselves, because we've learned how to do that over the years. So you all have awesome skills to be able to utilize at home and as you get older as well, which is exciting. As far as the way mission trips work beyond the work, because there's a lot to a mission trip than just the work that we do, we will travel. Most likely this year we'll be renting large 15-passenger vans and traveling together that way. There's the possibility of a big charter bus, but depending on pricing and stuff, we haven't figured out those transportation details yet, but we will get everybody there for safe and sound, most likely probably a one-day trip, but it's possible we might split it up into 2 short travel days. We stay at local church congregations, wherever, whether it's if we have to stop someplace on the way to Knoxville, and when we get to Knoxville, we find churches that are willing to allow us to come and stay in their churches. So we kind of take over all of their spaces and utilize classrooms like we have here, where you all will sleep. So you're invited to bring air mattresses or sleeping pads if you want, sleeping bags and pillows and all that good stuff. And we camp out basically in the classrooms, and we have worship spaces and places to eat, like fellowship halls and kitchen and everything like that. So we basically find a new home in a church for the entire week. We make all of our own meals. We will eat out on occasion for a few meals. When we get to Knoxville, we might go out to a restaurant or we might order in. So we get a bit of a taste of food in the area that we go to, but we primarily make all of our food. So we bring 2 adults on each trip just to cook food for us. That's their primary role as they come, and they're responsible for going out and doing all the grocery shopping and having a meal plan and everything. We eat really, really well. You get lots of snacks and it's good food and desserts. And usually there's 2 desserts. And so it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun because you all work really hard and we want to make sure you're fed well too. So you keep the energy up.
You don't go hungry.
You don't go hungry. That's right, Emma. Emma knows. See, she can tell you. So we eat really well. If there's any dietary needs or restrictions, we can meet those and accommodate that stuff. And as we, do registration forms, medical forms, and all that good stuff, we'll get that information and make sure that's all taken care of. But you all help in the process of preparing food too, because you'll all be separated into small groups. And that small group for the week is your group that helps take on the chores and community tasks that we have together. So every day your small group will be assigned to a different task and everybody participates in everything. So it's not like you're stuck helping in the kitchen the whole time. You'll help with all kinds of different stuff, but we have kitchen crews that help prep the meals and help cook the meals on the days that they're assigned. And so your small group would be doing that. There is probably the least fun job, but everybody's got to do it, is bathroom duty. So everyone at some point will be responsible for helping clean bathrooms and keeping those spaces clean. It's just part of being community together and living in a space together. And then there's a devotional group that your small group will help lead us in worship and provide a short devotional, which is usually fun and entertaining and kind of a skit typically, but it can really be whatever you want. And then again, Emma can tell you how much energy goes into those and making them fun and exciting for everybody. They're quite entertaining, right, Emma?
Very.
So yeah, and then those small groups, every night we have worship together. So we have a short, 30-minute worship or something like that, for us to kind of focus in on what we did during the week or during that day. And then you'll go into small group time where you'll have with your small group conversation space around the Bible themes for the day and what you all did that day, kind of just space for you all to reflect back on what you've experienced and what's happened and what God is up to in your lives and in the lives that we're impacting, and in all the things that we're doing. Sprinkled throughout all of that is some free time and time for y'all to just do whatever, relax, hang out. And what that looks like always depends on the church that we're staying at. We don't know exactly where we're staying yet. So that kind of just varies based on the space that we have. It's possible we may have stay at a church that has a gym, in which case we can potentially use that. And there can be basketball and playing games and stuff like that. There's possibility that we don't have a church with a gym, in which case that hangout time looks a little bit different. So it just kind of all depends. Every year's slightly different in those aspects. But a typical day looks like waking up in the morning, usually fairly early, but getting yourself ready, dressed and ready, eating breakfast, getting chores taken care of. We're off to the work site. We work for 6-7 hours, and then we're back to the church. We shower. Usually we try to find local YMCAs where we shower. So typically you'll go from the job site to the YMCA, do your showers, get cleaned up, and then back to the church for snack, dinner, worship, small group, and then free time until bedtime. That's what a typical day looks like. So yes, Emma and Anna, I think you both had questions.
What are you going to do for technology restrictions this year?
Technology restrictions. So you typically, and I don't know specifically this year what it's going to look like, but typically you're invited to bring a cell phone if you'd like to. It's your own responsibility, so it's kind of between you and your parents. But we then ask that the cell phones remain at the church in your rooms at all times. So cell phones don't come to the job sites with us. They don't go out and about with us. When we're back at the church, they stay in the rooms. They're not out in the spaces that are communal spaces for us. Because really, one of the cool things about a mission trip is it's an opportunity for us to build community with each other, and kind of turn off the outside stuff, and take a break from all of that technology and everything. So that's typically what we do. Every year the adult leadership team that goes on the trips kind of discusses if that particular trip needs to have slightly different rules on that and everything. So we haven't gotten to that point where everything's very beginning stages
But for like,
in planning.
but like for traveling, it's okay to have it except.
Yes, if we're traveling, typically we let you all, have that in the vehicles and everything. Yeah. So, Ann,
I don't have.
you're good. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Any questions on the line on our Zoom so far? All right. Yeah.
Free lunch at the site?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we do have lunch. So typically, I forgot that. Thank you all. At lunch, usually in the mornings, you all will make your own lunches. We'll have everything for sandwiches and stuff. So we'll have peanut butter and jelly and all kinds of lunch meats and cheeses and breads and all kinds of options, and snacks and everything. And so when you get up in the morning, you'll make your own lunches, get those packed up. We have coolers, everything we bring with us. And you throw all your lunches in the coolers and those come to the job sites with us. And then we have a lunch break.
The coolers have a certain color, which is your work group color, so that your specific lunch doesn't get stuff like, it's always with your group.
Yeah, your work teams will have colors assigned to them, so you'll know what color you are, and you get to stick, like, everything's color coded, and we try to make it as simple as possible. So still not always simple, but if paying attention, you'll be all right. So awesome, good questions. The end of the trip, we always do a celebration thing at the end as we are coming home, which looks different on every single trip. It all just kind of depends on where we are, how we need to get home, and what's available. So this could look like whitewater rafting. It could look like a water park day, a theme park. It could be big tours of the places that we're at. Really, we try to find something really fun and interesting and exciting that you wouldn't necessarily get to be able to do here in Northern Virginia, Fairfax area. And we go and do that all together kind of as a celebration, fun thing to finish off the trip with. So don't know what that's going to be yet. We're still, like I said, we're in the very, very early stages of planning. So I can't exactly tell you what that's going to look like, but it is always a grand old time. And so if we have to travel to there, we do that, stay again, either at campgrounds or at local churches before we head back here to be back by Sunday. Yeah, Ben?
What was the last activity?
Last summer, we did do whitewater rafting and the water park. There's a place about 4 hours from here in West Virginia that has whitewater rafting, and it has this massive lake. It's like a man-made lake that they have a bunch of inflatables and stuff like that are all water, like slides and trampolines and all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So we did both of those, which is kind of unusual. Typically, we only would do one thing, but because it was a COVID year, and we stayed local. We actually stayed here at the Clifton campus for the whole thing and served in this community. It was a slightly different kind of scenario financially and travel and that kind of thing. But yeah, and actually Knoxville, the first time we did Knoxville 4 years ago or whatever, we did do whitewater rafting, I think, as well, because there happens to be a lot of whitewater rafting places between Knoxville, Tennessee and here that are easily accessible. So it's possible that's what we do this coming year because it's easily accessible, but I can't promise that's what we're going to do because we try to switch it up. So the cool thing is if if we don't do whitewater rafting this year, if you keep on coming on mission trips, we'll probably do whitewater rafting at some point in your mission trip career, if not multiple times, because that's one of the really cool, unique things. And there's a lot of opportunities around here to do that within a couple of hours. So
Whitewater rafting is kind of scary, but it's also really fun because they explain everything. And as long as you're following the restrictions, you won't fall on.
yes, that's right. That's right. It's good time. Let's see. As far as getting yourselves registered and everything, we are getting close to time. Registration is open now. I believe we're asking for deposits in your registrations to be completed by the end of February. So you've got a little over a month still to make decisions. It's $100 deposit, non-refundable deposit to get yourself registered. Registration is online. The total cost of the trip is $350. There are ways that you can cover those costs, but Sophia, you got a question?
That clock goes into Army time.
Probably. Yeah. You had a question about the mission trip or just the clock? Okay. So the cost is $350. You don't need to pay that whole amount right now, just the $100 to register. And there's a registration form online. As we get closer to the trip deadline, or when the trip is coming up, usually in May, is when you'll need to turn in your medical forms and any other paperwork that we have and get your final payments in. We have something called IPOs, initial public offerings. This is ways that you can get your trip paid for and covered or reduced the cost. You can ask your friends and family and teachers and neighbors and anybody if they would sponsor you for this trip and kind of partner with you on this trip at $25 a share. And all this stuff is online, so you can get paperwork online. They can do it online, or they can give you money, but you turn in that paperwork. They basically give us their name and email address and address and how much they paid. And you give us that and the money, and that goes towards your cost of the trip. So if Emma gets 4 IPOs at $25 each, she has $100 that goes towards her cost of her trip. So her trip no longer costs $200 or $350, now costs $250. And you could cover your entire cost of your trip through IPOs.
There's one person who bought more than one IPO.
Absolutely. Yep. So if a person wants to donate $100 to you, then that's awesome. You get $100 off the cost of your trip for that. We're also doing Super Bowl subs. Right now, we're selling those before and after worship these next couple of weeks, and then assembling them and passing them out. If you do 2 hours of service with that, we'll take $50 off the cost of your trip. So basically $25 per hour for helping that. So you got to sign up for that online. That's on our website as well. But that is a way to help with the cost of the trip as well. If finances are an issue for you or your family, come talk to me. That is not a problem. We don't want anybody to miss the mission trip because of finances. All right. We don't want that to be the reason that you can't go. We will find ways to make it happen. We've got scholarships and all kinds of opportunities and everything. So registration is open, and we want to encourage you all to be thinking about that now and getting excited about that. So are there any other questions about the mission trip? Anything online? All right. Well, I hope you all get excited about it, and we hope that you all are able to join us. It is a lot of fun. Talk to people like Emma and our other peers that have gone on the trips, the high schoolers. It's a awesome, phenomenal experience that I think you all would really enjoy, and it'd be great to have you all with us. So students here, hang out for just a second. We're going to pray. Everybody online, thank you for joining us. I'm going to end the recording and the Zoom session. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Just reach on out and we will get you connected.